Let's do this. Okay, guys, here we go. We got a cool segment today. We got an interesting. I'm surprised that we got some more. We got something going on here. So a while back, Noah Samsen, real quick, that's this guy on the screen. He had made a couple of videos, I think, about Think Before You Sleep. I remember reacting to them. They were solid. You know, it's Think Before You Sleep. Something else. Yeah. So Think Before You Sleep actually responded, but in like comment form or something in the comments. No, it was a community post, I think. So
calling on women to have a...
Sorry, I'm gonna put the video that I react to in the whatever. Anyway, but he didn't do a full video response, and I guess now he decided to make a full video response, and it's called "Why Woke Content is Trash." Now, first and foremost, I will say it does seem to be a weird conservative talking point to call everything woke. Right? When I talk about something being woke, I'm talking about it being too crazy. You know what I mean? Too woke. It's like woke. You know what I mean? Usually. But like conservatives just make everything is just woke. You know what I mean? Everything. Oh, you're trans affirming? That's too woke. Oh, you think that we should be able to afford your healthcare? That's woke. It's like weird. You know? It's just become a... It's just the word has lost any meaning to it. But anyway, let's get this going.
Wrong. Brett Cooper. She's the host.
All right, that wasn't the video.
Everybody, what's up? Today we're going to be looking at a video called Why Woke People Are Making Everything Ugly. It's a video from the channel Think Before You Sleep.
Yeah, I reacted to that video too. I'll put that in the description. It wasn't really much of anything. That basically Dove was doing an initiative to add more inclusive bodies into games. I don't care. That's fine. I have no problem with that at all. You shouldn't have a problem with it at all. Unless they're saying, my thing is, there's always room for stuff like that. Let's do it. As long as you don't take away my big booby girls, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. Some people want to be represented more. That's it.
That's right, old friend of the show.
Thanks, pal. Noah and I go way back. Way back to about 2 months ago when he reacted to a video of mine discussing literal communist Ash Sarkar from Novara Media talking about traditional relationships. A video where Ash spent 15 minutes calling you a bunch of bad buzzwords if you want to be traditional.
It has lent a feminine veneer to conservative far-right and white nationalist ideologies.
So Noah did a reaction.
From what I remember, it really wasn't like that big of a deal what she had said, but okay.
Reaction to about half my video on Ash Sarkar. I was already busy with another project and I didn't want to burn a week or more on a reaction to his reaction to my reaction.
Just watch it, bro.
So instead, I quickly responded to it in this big community post where I described my gripes about his arguments and his inability to do thorough research.
Not for nothing, but there's no way it takes you a week to put your videos together. In general. I mean, from what it's mostly you just whining over a video and calling it too woke. I know you put more effort into content than I do, but there's no way it takes you that long to create your content. Like, it literally is you just whining over a video. That's all it is, and then putting some like weird like backgrounds on it. But okay.
That he then responded to in another video. I'm not going to rehash all that. If you care, you can just look at the reference material in the description. Anyway, after all that, I thought it was done. Usually when stuff like this happens, creators take their shots at each other. One of them gets bored first, which ends the drama, and everyone forgets about the whole thing in about 2 weeks. However, that's not what happened this time.
I made a couple videos about this channel, and I'm going to keep doing it because I have a lot of fun.
I can't allow that. If he's going to keep doing this, he can't be the only one having fun. So let's add another card to the reaction train and allow me to respond to his response to my response to a Dove ad campaign about body.
Hey, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. That's just content for the old Papa Gut, you know?
Positivity. But because I'm lazy, let's have Noah explain what the video he's reacting to was about.
The video loosely centers around criticizing an ad campaign from the soap company Dove, which is Dove's real virtual beauty campaign, which focuses on inclusivity and representation for women in video games. The plan here is to go through his video and look at some of the arguments made in it. Arguments in support of his general thesis that this ad campaign is bad for various reasons, including the fact that it is part of a larger trend of wokeness in media, and wokeness is bad for various reasons. What does wokeness mean in this case? Well, we're going to find out, I'm sure.
Pretty much anything left of right. It's not communism. There's nothing communist. This alone should make you embarrassed to be able to think you can sleep. Do you Think Before You Sleep fan? Look at this.
Bad for various reasons. What does wokeness mean in this case? Well, we're going to find out, I'm sure.
Communism,
guys. The Dove ad campaign that wants to put some fat girls in the video game and not is communism. I mean, that should tell you all you need to know. You can't even make it up. Frankly, I respect Think You Before You Sleep just for being so honest about how fucking ridiculous this argument is. But okay. That's what woke means now. Communist.
Woke means communism.
Okay.
Now, the bread supers love to say, that's not what that term means. It used to mean something else, as some sort of gotcha on the anti-woke crowd.
Woke used to mean something that was like too far left. Now it just means anything left. So.
But words change meaning all the time, and it was the communists who were using the term woke, and thus, that's what the word means now. Now that we have all that cleared up...
What? What? Just because communists use the word woke? I'm sure they use the word bread. Is that also communist? I don't understand. Okay.
Basically, my video was a response to that Dove campaign, where a woke company tries to sell soap by using the same factually wrong Anita Sarkeesian line of thinking of.
What's that?
There's never been a woman in a video game before.
That's not what they were saying at all. Like, why can't you just think it's cringe? You know? Just be like, I think this is kind of cringe. Okay, I feel you. Okay. You know? That's at least like a normal argument. That's not what they said. What they were saying is, hey, there's not like accurate representation of women, I wish there was more diverse representation for women, right? And it's like, okay, that's all they added. They didn't say let's get rid of the boobie girl, because I would be upset because I like boobies. You know what I mean? It isn't that big of a deal. Like, it's one of those things where not everything has to be for you. You could just be like, oh, I think this is kind of stupid and it doesn't resonate with me. But it doesn't have to be communism. But that's the problem, is that if this guy doesn't like something, it's communist. It's not just stupid cringe. It's literal communism. And these two are just sitting here. Are tanks. It's just, so that's what's weird.
Suggesting that character customization doesn't exist in video games.
Nobody suggests that.
And representation matters more than simply making a good product. Dove, as well as other companies, have been suggesting that characters that are purposefully made to be unattractive to promote representation should headline video games. I simply pointed out that the average consumer probably doesn't want that, and a couple of lefties got triggered. Even Hassan got in on it in his own way. Of course, Hassan is far too lazy to...
Well, no, but people didn't really get triggered. They just... not for nothing, but like this guy is just kind of like laughable. You don't really get triggered by this guy. You just like go, okay. That's it. It's funny. It's like not for nothing, but like for... people, and I know I'm like a lefty too, it's just like easy pickings. Like, this guy is effectively a conservative lolcow. Like, that, not to be an asshole, but that's what it is. Like, I feel like even conservatives think this guy is kind of a silly goose. So it's not like it's like we're triggered. It's just like, and I'm not even like a huge fan of Noah Sam. He's fine. You know, it's not like I'm like, oh, I gotta defend my lefty. Well, that's content for me. But he's guy's like a kind of a little goofer. He's a goofy guy, you know?
Create his own reaction to my video.
Yep.
So he reacted to Noah's reaction to my reaction on Dove.
I'm all over, baby.
He found time to say this.
It's a soap commercial, dog. You're not using any soap ever for the rest of your life. Why do you care?
It's a little funny, a little bit funny, a little based. Okay.
Do I sit around and criticize tampon commercials? No. I have no use for them. You, very clearly, have no use for soap.
Actually, Hassan,
I mean, really, Hassan's like half kidding, but I don't even like Hassan, but the joke here is like the game is just not for you. The body positivity initiative is not for you. You don't have to complain about things just because they're not marketed towards you. It's like complaining about fucking like, you know, your hair, like you know, hair care products for growing the old hair doodle. You know, that's all it's about.
Hassan, I don't need. Wait, he just left? Is he gonna come back? Is this like a thing on Twitch? Can you just leave in the middle of someone else's video playing? Isn't that copyright infringement? Okay, he's back now. Let's try this again. Actually, Hassan, I don't need Dove soap because I get my soap from Reed Street Soap Company. Thanks for the help with the smooth ad transition, buddy. Reed Street Soap is a company that strives...
Cool. Go buy that, I guess, guys.
The feeling that he doesn't fit the description. All right, getting back to Noah. After watching his reactions to me, I just get the feeling that he doesn't very often engage with material from people who don't agree with him. Because what happens...
It's like all he does. That's like literally the only thing he does. That's at least from what I've watched.
A lot in his content is that he will say something that sounds intelligent, but when you actually start attacking the idea or investigate further, as you would if you were expecting someone to criticize your content, it either falls apart or sounds like complete nonsense.
So to start things off, this video is a little bit tough to break down because a lot of it is just Think Before You Sleep giving his opinions on stuff.
Wow. He criticized me for giving my opinion on things. It's almost like I'm paid to do that. Is it really that tough to say you agree or disagree and break down why you think that? If I like Star Wars and you don't, you can't explain why? Are you sure you're cut out for YouTube? He also edits in this little bumper saying that giving my opinion is not an argument. Noah, an argument is anything that contains facts, reasoning, and logic. You can use those three things to argue why you have an opinion. And G Noah, as a commentator, I sure hope you were very careful to not give any of your opinions in this video. Otherwise, you're a hypocrite because opinions are bad and hard to break down.
These opinions are often generally unrelated to actual critiques of the Dove ad campaign.
Oh, that makes sense. Now it makes sense why he said what he said. It's weird because at least you made yourself look like you kind of made yourself look like a silly goose there, because you're like, oh, he just said opinions, blah, blah, blah. He's not even making an argument. And then his argument was that the opinion you have on it is irrelevant to like actually what's actually happening. Right. So that was like the general. Why are we getting dumpstered? So that was really the criticism there.
Be careful, Noah. That sounds a lot like an opinion. You wouldn't want to suggest that it's wrong for me to give my opinions and then follow it up almost immediately with an opinion of your own.
Well, he's not saying you're wrong to give your opinions. He's saying that your opinions aren't relevant to the actual subject matter. So.
Would you?
So, for example, this clip.
Oh, look, the ad comes with an article. We're bringing real beauty to the virtual world.
Okay.
Does the term beauty even mean anything anymore? Or is everybody just the same regardless of effort?
Well, they're just saying, normal, like, regular, more attainable bodies. People that are more representative, but okay.
Thinks that these women are not hot. So the definition of beauty is here being perverted by Dove.
It's almost like what I said about self-care being important was commentary that was directly related to the Dove campaign. I'm literally commenting on a direct quote from the campaign's article. Did his opinion change during the argument? Because he never describes how my comments are unrelated. He just gives his opinion that I did bad content, doesn't explain why, and then moves on to say this.
He later talks about how he went to an art museum with another anti-feminist YouTuber and that he didn't like the art. Or this clip.
About a month ago, Dove came out with their latest body positivity campaign by partnering with Epic Games and using the Unreal Engine to create 3D models of realistic women. Wait, this was done with Unreal Engine? Really? Why do all these models look like crappy World of Warcraft avatars?
Because I remember this because they're on bad lighting, because they don't have lighting attached to them. I think that people don't understand how that works. Lighting is like what's going to make your character model fill out more than anything else. So they don't look good because they're not really lit. They're just in a white room with no lighting. That was the reason why. So just to answer that question.
In 2006.
So Dove is a bad, lazy company because their graphics are worse than a Zelda animation that a YouTuber made with a fraction of the budget. The key word there is worse because, again, that's subjective.
That's not really true. Beauty is the sum.
I mean, I agree that it looked like shit, but it's irrelevant to the actual video overall.
Total of people's opinions on a particular trait or group of traits being desirable. You can objectively measure what people agree on, and if most people agree on certain features being beautiful, then that's what's beautiful. There are studies that do this. Here's a meta-analysis on facial attractiveness if you want to know more about what a bunch of studies have found on the subject. Or you can look at the...
This is exactly the point that I think Noah was making. It's just irrelevant to the topic. Yeah, you don't think it's beautiful, and apparently you're you're a purist for the word beautiful, and you just don't like people that aren't skinny. You think they're ugly, or you think that's fine. Do your thing. It doesn't belittle the ad campaign though, or its effectiveness to just be more inclusive for people so they could feel a little more represented. It's your game. Do whatever you want, dude. We're just getting fucking shit on.
Fashion industry in its entirety, where they have mathematically figured out how to maximize everyone's attractiveness based on body type. The particular tastes of a small handful of people who statistically deviate heavily are irrelevant because the standard of beauty is what people generally agree on. Major outliers are typically thrown out of research papers anyway, and nobody reasonable is going to say that this person here will get as many swipe rights on Tinder as Megan Fox because beauty is subjective. The Dove ad.
Well, some people would fuck that other girl on the left. I mean, it seems like the norm on Tinder now. Plus, plenty of guys would swipe left, on her because it's Tinder, and you're just looking to dump. You're looking to dump it in.
Here, we'll get as many swipe rights on Tinder as Megan Fox because beauty is subjective.
But this is kind of the thing, right? Because that girl looks obviously weird, and I'm not going to say she doesn't. But some people would find her more attractive than Megan Fox, and the idea is hey, she should be available as a playable character in case I wanted to fuck her instead, or you know what I mean? It's like playing a porn. It's like playing a game called Hightail Studios, where you fuck anthropomorphic cartoon versions of animals, right? Some people like the cheetah girl. Some people like the zebra girl. It's just, think of it like that. Think of it, instead of playing as a BBW girl, you got to fuck her. And then you're like, oh, it's just a preference. The Dove is talking about adding preferences into the game for people to play as. Oh, if you simplify it, all of a sudden it becomes normal. It's it's just a preference. Some people prefer different things. There should be more availability for those people. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, that makes sense now.
The Dove ad is being criticized because people in general don't find obesity attractive.
He's acting as if the
A lot of people find, well, I mean, obesity is pretty a big, some like morbid obesity, not really, but in general, there's plenty of people who find, big girls attractive. It's a pretty popular, I don't know if you guys know, it's a very extraordinarily popular thing on the hub. It really is. You shouldn't be surprised it's real. So people do like it more than you think.
The objective barometer for a quality animation is that you need 10 RTX 9090 surrender it. But these Dove animations were not created with that purpose of supreme 8K quality in mind. Also, I will say that to me, these just look like Fortnite characters, and Fortnite runs on Unreal Engine. I don't feel like they're that much different.
Did he even look at the animation? I know Fortnite doesn't have the most detailed graphics, but these renders from Dove don't look nearly as good as the Fortnite characters that you showed, Noah.
Okay.
The idea
See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's dumb. Like, your argument is like irrelevant. You're just nitpicking at things that are like not. You're not absorbing the core argument. That's the problem.
of a good average.
And like, what's so funny is he points out like, oh, there's already customization in video games, and now you're saying fat women shouldn't be in video games, basically. So then you disagree with the customization, but no, you probably wouldn't, because you think it's fine to have customization and the ability to have more representation of different bodies, but like you just don't care about this topic. It's just another anti-SJW dunk to complain about Dove. It's just like a crybaby festival, but you're older than most people crying about it. It seems. So it's like maybe grow up,
Advertisement is that you are supposed to display that you pay attention to quality. This, however, looks like the 3D version of crappy Facebook Allegria art.
Okay.
That being said, there are very objective reasons why the vast majority of people would say that the Zelda art is better. Primarily, the amount of skill development and hard work that it took to make this smooth animation compared to this glitchy piece of crap where the character's arm does this during a baseball swing. Using language tricks to suggest that relatively equal amounts of people would find these two things similarly beautiful.
Nobody's saying that. Nobody ever made that argument. Nobody's ever saying that argument. The argument isn't that people would like this more. The argument is that some people would just like to have this. Like, it's not that. It's just you're not right.
As a way of invalidating my point is dishonest. And to Noah's earlier point, no significant number of people who aren't political activists would say that this modern art picture is as good or better than the Mona Lisa. Why? Because anyone can scribble random shit onto a piece of paper. Look, I with no talent drew a similar quality.
Right, but that doesn't matter. That's an irrelevant point you just threw in there, and that's what he's talking about. So
picture. Put me in a museum. All of this is just rhetoric against quality, meritocracy, and exceptional feats of hard work. And as I suggested in my video on Dove, this kind of ideology is preaching laziness.
So since the opinions can't be addressed, we're just going to move forward and look at the arguments.
Are we watching the same video? Am I being gaslit? You just spent several minutes addressing my opinions and discussing why your opinions are better. This video doesn't make sense. Not addressing my opinions would consist of you not talking about them for 4 minutes.
This is one of those, this is like the kind of content creator which justifies people like Hassan reacting fully to videos. Because he's so dishonest about the representation of what's going on that you need to be able to address every single point. Like if he played the Noah Samsen video and did the same complaining tactic, he would look stupid because he wouldn't be able. Oh, this is just a horrible game. He would just look dumb, like because he would just be arguing with the wind. But instead, he's able to create a video that is very misrepresentative of like actual points.
So first up, Think Before You Sleep makes the argument that Dove is a lazy company because they show a statistic on the screen that he doesn't believe is true.
Okay, I don't believe that statistic at all.
Yeah, the statistic is like 2 out of 3 female gamers in the UK say that there's lack of representation of video games. They probably do say that. Like, okay, who cares? You could just be like, I don't care. You literally could just argue, oh, well, women don't like video games as much, so they're not made for them. So that's probably why. You could just argue that. You could just make it like, oh, okay.
Where did you get that number? Did you simply ask 3 of your British friends? Because there is no way that most British women are eternally offended snowflakes who care about that kind of stuff.
Like, it's not that deep. Hey, I don't feel like I'm super represented in the game. Oh, are you an eternal snowflake? Are you mystical snow from the Himalayan mountains? Is there snow there? I don't know. Like, it's not that serious. It's not that serious. Like, oh, I don't like onions. Are you a fucking snowflake, idiot? You don't like onions? I don't like onions because they're for children. No, I'm just kidding. I don't like the texture. I like the taste, though.
So this is the Opinium Women in Gaming survey from early 2021. It was a survey of about 1,400 United Kingdom gamers age 18 and over. And one of the key findings here was that 69% of women felt that there needs to be more female characters in video games in general. The two-thirds statistic that Dove shows here, that is from this survey. And here you might say, well, Noah, Dove didn't cite where they found that statistic on the screen, so a viewer of the ad would have no idea where to search to confirm its validity. And well, firstly, Think Before You Sleep is not just a viewer of the ad, he is a YouTube journalist, let's call him, with a big audience that's making a video that critiques this ad. All he had to do was a single Google search with some relevant terms to find this survey. It took me 10 seconds. It's really not that much work, but he didn't do it.
Okay, so I'm supposed to do Dove's homework for them?
No. So first of all, Dove should have done their due diligence. I agree. But second of all, the point that he's making is that like you didn't want to find the answer because if you looked for it, you would have found it. Which is it sounds like you know. So
Dove is the one who brought up the data. They're responsible for telling the audience where their stats came from.
Okay.
It's not
so now that you've been proven wrong, do you disagree with your original assertion? That's the real question.
my job to Google it for them. Noah, did you go to college? Because multiple times you suggested that I should take a class.
Please, I beg of you, go.
See how he didn't answer? He's not going to respond to that. He's not going to be like, oh, now that I know that, I'm wrong. He's not even going to say it. He's going to move past it.
Go take a media literacy course. Oh, my God.
So if you've been to college, then you would know
He's just moving past it. He's just fucking right past it.
that Dove's lack of a source citation would result in a failing grade, if not additional punishment for plagiarism. It's not my responsibility to find your source for you.
Okay.
If someone gives statistical data and doesn't say where they got it from, then the proper thing to do is to take it with a grain of salt or assume that they are lying.
Or you just look it up.
But to no surprise, Noah is not the only one who believes that I need to go do Dove's homework for them.
Okay, what the fuck is he saying? What he's saying is like, he goes, source, and instead of seeking out the source, he continues to just make claims that are just sourceless.
Hassan, you graduated from Rutgers University.
Okay.
You should know that as the reader or as the viewer, it is not my job to find the sources that they use for their video. It's their job to cite their stuff properly. That, or they're liars because they said a statistic existed, but didn't give people any way to verify the validity of that statistic.
Okay.
If Rutgers didn't teach you that, Hassan, then you should sue them for your money back because they failed to educate you on research methodology, which is one of the primary things that you're supposed to learn in college. This, by the way, is coming from the people who will say, source bro, where's your source, man? On literally every claim that you make after telling you that you should Google all their data for them. Particularly when one of the most common things women ask for in a relationship is...
So, like, he's not going to actually take the L on it. His original criticism should have been, you should have sourced this. It's inappropriate not to do so, but you're right. Instead, he just decided it was wrong. That's the problem, is this guy didn't want the answer to the question. Right? He saw a source, or excuse me, he saw a claim that wasn't sourced on the video, which happened to be correct, by the way. And he decided that he didn't want to look into it because he wanted it to be wrong, because then he just gets to nitpick at the video. And so now he's hiding behind, well, they should have sourced it themselves, without saying, oh yeah, actually I fucked that up. That's right, I did actually fuck that up. Right, so that it's just like a baby tactic. He's not going to take accountability or responsibility for fucking that up, because it's not about that, right? It's just kind of about complaining. That's it. So
leadership from men.
Source? Can we get a source?
Gee, I didn't know I needed a source for common knowledge. You know that's an exception in research, right?
What?
Next, he's going to ask for a source on what color the sky is. You don't think this is a common knowledge exception? Well then, who has to ask who out on the first date? Is it 50-50? Or is it almost exclusively the men initiating the relationship? That's leadership, because leaders are the ones who go first.
What the fuck are you talking about? What, did I skip 8 minutes of the video? What the fuck just happened?
You know that
Source?
them. Particularly when one of the most common things women ask for in a relationship is leadership from men.
Source? Can we get a source?
Gee, I didn't know I needed a source for common knowledge.
Oh, he just moved on. Yeah, like I said, I got confused because I thought that he was going to be a man and actually respond to the criticism that he was wrong about something, but instead he has a sensitive ego. Yeah, the number one thing women are looking for in a relationship isn't going to be leadership. I guess you can interpret it as such. Interesting claim. I don't know what really to say. I don't know that women are necessarily actively seeking leadership. Maybe you would need a sort. It's just a weird claim. The number one thing women are looking for in a relationship is leadership. I don't think I would ever say that. That's just a weird claim. I mean, I understand that men tend to make more money in relationships. I just feel like that's a weird way to say. Maybe, I don't know. It's a weird claim. It's just a silly claim to make. It's weird. And his source on that though is common knowledge. You know, if you were going to Rutgers, they would have fired you because you didn't have a statistic, or they would have banned you from the school because you didn't have a statistic to cite your source there. It is funny though that he just had a shitload meltdown because Dove didn't put an accurate source into their video, But then he doesn't do it, and now he's like, oh, it's just common knowledge. What's common knowledge? The women are looking for leadership. Like, what is? I don't know that that's true. I'm open to the idea. I just don't think that that's necessarily true. It's and if it's on there, I doubt it's number one. I think I think this is just common knowledge. Women are looking for guys with a penis most of the time, not all the time though. You know, there's nothing wrong with being a trans man. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Maybe not to beat them. I don't know. That's probably number one on the list. Just trust me, bro. That's my source.
Knowledge. You know that's an exception in research, right?
Okay.
Next, he's going to ask for a source on what color the sky is.
These
you don't
are
think this is a
two
common
different
knowledge
things.
exception? Well
No.
then, who has to ask who out on the first date? Is
It
it
would actually be who has to ask whom out, but you know, you're trying.
50-50? Or is it almost exclusively the men initiating the relationship?
Well, that doesn't indicate leadership. If anything, you could argue that the man is in the feminine role for having to ask them out. I wouldn't, but the point is that by itself means nothing when it comes to leadership. But okay. Has this guy ever led anything before? Like, I'm not trying to. I'm a very basic guy. I was a manager at my last job for like 6 years. I'm also an Eagle Scout. Like, I think I know probably leadership better than. I mean, this guy probably was at one point on track to be a future U.S. Army soldier. He seems like an ROTC guy. But yeah, I mean, okay, whatever.
That's leadership because leaders are the ones who go first. When women insist that men ask them out, decide where to go, and pay for the first dates, that is asking for leadership.
I guess.
Also, you don't need a PubMed article for
It's actually asked for courtship. It's a courting ritual, but okay.
everything you say. You are allowed to make claims based on your own experiences. There isn't a well-studied statistic for everything. Now, that's not to say that personal experience always reflects reality.
It's funny. He's like, you're allowed to make claims based on your experiences, and then he said that the UK article just came from 2 people who asked their friends or something. So, cool.
But everyone makes claims in forms
He was a yoga studio instructor. Well, that's leadership. I mean, if anything is leadership to me, it's yoga studio. What? Yoga studios. It's pretty cool. Interesting.
opinions based on personal experience.
Okay.
In fact, you did it in this video, Noah.
Regardless, that's not what they're supposed to be about. They're about representation. So to someone who's interested in representation in games, the Dove animation would likely be better.
Source bro,
Okay,
do you have a
maybe.
source for that claim? It's possible the majority could still disagree with you, therefore your opinion is invalid.
Okay.
See how dumb this game is? Not to mention that based on the
it's
standards
only
that
when you're
Hassan
doing
and
it.
Noah are holding me to with Dove, why can't they just Google my source for me? According to them, I shouldn't have to cite any of my claims.
I think I Googled it back last time. I don't think that the number one thing women want in a relationship is a leadership. Like, you show us the source. It doesn't
because
exist.
Googling
I
any
don't
random
think-
thing I say is not that hard.
Okay.
That being said, let's take a look at this study that Noah found for us. Diversity in gaming thought leadership.
Okay,
Let's
so
look at
you're not gonna source your claim, but Dove should. I don't understand. It seems like a massive amount of cognitive dissonance that you'll make a random claim. It's okay. I don't know why I'm
results.
focusing on this point.
It starts
Who
by
cares?
saying that
Like,
women
we
play
know
games
he's
nearly
wrong.
as often as men, just 2 hours less than their male counterparts.
That's it's pretty significant. A lot less. They're also just playing different video games, right? They're playing like fucking Candy Crush, but okay.
Well, I don't like the framing of that at all. That's not
Okay.
nearly. That's a full 20% less.
Sure.
Nearly would be the difference of a few percent, not 1/5 of the total amount. So we're off to a
guess.
great start with this study trying to make it seem like women play games significantly more than they do. This study isn't heavily biased at all. Now let's take a look at the stats that Dove allegedly was referring to. I say allegedly because Dove didn't cite their sources or make any reference to it, so Noah really has no idea if he found the correct study. Second, there are two
All you have to do is find a study that agrees with it, and you found like the correct study that's being referenced. Do you not understand that? Like, okay, whatever. Okay.
stats here. 74% and 2 out of 3 women. Nowhere does it say 74% for any data point, so this very well could be the wrong study. Do you see the
sure.
problem with Dove not citing its sources? Dove might as well have just made the numbers
God,
up.
it's
But
like-
let's take a look at the number that Noah
I see why his videos take so long to make now, because he has to come up with the most fucking ridiculously asinine points.
pointed out. It says that 69% of women say that there aren't enough female characters in games.
Okay.
Dove's ad was about body positivity, so by their statements, a reasonable person would infer that Dove was implying that 2 out of 3 women believe that there's not enough body positivity representation in video games. Not that there aren't enough female characters. Those two things aren't the same. More women does not equal more body positivity. If these are actually the stats that Dove used, then they are lying to you or wildly misrepresenting that study. On top of that, this report makes no mention of any of their methodology, so nobody can determine the validity of the measurement techniques that they use to get that data. For example, this study is missing all sorts of important demographic data. Did they survey people randomly, or did they survey a bunch of college kids? Colleges tend to lean very left, so you aren't going to get a very accurate representation of how the general population feels if you're only surveying people on the left, which is why you get nonsense like almost 70% of women saying that there aren't enough women in video games, when pretty much half the cast of every game these days is female, and it's been that way for a long time.
You're... Okay. I don't know. I think that this guy doesn't know things. Like, so when women are saying these things, they're probably just being vague, like general about more like very mainstream games. And like this game is mainstream, right? What he's showing on the screen. But this is like a competitive game. People are generally referencing more narrative-driven games, are like very male-centric. There is more diversity, like Last of Us. It's getting better. But then they're also referring to wanting more fat girls in there too. Me Too based, right? That's fine. It's not that big of a deal. Oh, my fucking tits. So, okay.
So anyway, after nearly completing this entire video and reviewing the information a bunch of times during editing, I decided that there is no way in hell that Noah got the correct study. So I did what I shouldn't have had to do and checked all of Dove's partnerships from the original article, which led me to this article here from Women in Games. Guess what? It turns out that Opinium did not do the survey. As far as I can see, it appears that Dove themselves did the survey, and Women in Games and the Center for Appearance Research endorsed it. Pay attention to the wording, by the way. It's Women in Games, not Women in Gaming, which was a search term that Noah used and probably why he got the wrong data. But
Holy fuck. He used women in gaming instead of women in games. There's no way that you'd get these similar results doing that. It's wild. Holy shit. Those are such different phrases.
I have looked everywhere and cannot find the study. Originally, I thought the Center for Appearance Research did the study, but I used every related search term I could think of and looked at every publication they made over the past 5 years and still couldn't find it. After that, I noticed that the Center for Appearance Research merely endorsed the study. At this point, I've looked everywhere I could possibly look and cannot find this research. It looks like what happened is that Dove did a survey, never published it, and got 2 very politically biased organizations to approve of it, so nobody would question the origin of the data.
It's really not hard to believe that women don't feel as represented in video games. That's not really like it's not even a big deal. Like, I don't even care. Like, I don't give a shit. It's just kind of funny. Okay. That's wild. Oh, you fucking nay-nayed yourself, buddy.
That seems very dishonest. Do you know what would have been honest? How about you link the study at the bottom of the Real Virtual Beauty article, like you're supposed to do if you're acting in good faith? But despite not being able to find the actual research from Dove, I do find this whole thing funny because Noah was so sure that he got the right study, and he was so arrogant about it too.
The 2/3 statistic that Dove shows here, that is from this survey. All he had to do was a single Google search with some relevant terms to find this survey. It took me 10 seconds. It's really not that much work, but he didn't do it.
Maybe you should have spent more than 10 seconds Googling. Moving on to my next point, Noah doesn't like my conspiracy theory about ice cream.
This one's just great. More investigative journalism, uncovering a conspiracy that
This is so boring.
Dove actually did this campaign to make you buy ice cream. So where in this ad is there some push to get you to buy junk food? Where could that be?
Oh, yeah, I think he went on a tangent about how, like, everything is linked. Dove has an ice cream business or something.
Drawn from? Is there a candy bar? Is there a big sign saying
I like it. This character's kind of hot.
buy Nabisco products? Is
Yeah, Barbie was a cool movie. I like that.
Cynthia sitting down to crack open a nice cold jar of mayonnaise? No, she's not, and none of those things happen.
Yeah, of course they aren't going to directly admit that they're promoting fat acceptance to sell junk food. That would make their...
Yeah, that's a conspiracy, bro. You're a weirdo. They're promoting fat acceptance because it makes them money. It has nothing to do with them trying to promote people being fat. Like, they literally pushed cigarettes as a way to get you to, like, get skinny. I mean, it's just about marketing. There's no deep-seated conspiracy. I don't. It just seems weird. It's because people want. It's mostly women want to not be. It mostly comes from being bullied, and now it goes. In some aspects, it goes too far. But it's mostly just about not getting bullied for the virtue of your existence. That's really it. And for women, and then it's gone a little far with some women, like, oh, you should think I'm beautiful. Like, you don't have to think anybody's beautiful. You know what I mean? It's just beauty's subjective. That's it. It's not to sell more ice cream. I'm sure maybe that's a benefit. I'm sure they're selling more ice cream cones, but to say that it's just a weird conspiracy. It's just bizarre, terminally online.
Their plan not work, and it would cause a ton of backlash. This is called under the surface thinking, Noah.
Cool.
Are people only allowed to think superficially?
You're people who like conspiracies are fucking weirdos. Like, I mean,
strange though is that he is fully capable of under the surface thinking.
Being a conspiracy theorist, by the way, is a very woman thing to do. It's a very feminine thing to do. Women are the ones who are conspiracy theorists. So, good job being a woman.
Comes to calling Tucker Carlson a white nationalist.
Do you feel like
we should just move
a white
on.
nationalist by chance?
Dude, like, this is the type of stuff, like...
Why does nobody answer my questions? It's yes, no.
Maybe.
I mean, yeah, of course. So what?
I've watched his content. You know, he never self-refers as one.
All right, so look, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea the content. I'm assuming that they're having a conversation about like the internal thinking, being able to, but that's not really a conspiracy too much. Consider the things that Tucker has said. I mean, I don't really know what else to tell you, but yeah, I think they call it dog whistling. Wow, maybe Dove is dog whistling delicious ice cream treats. Maybe.
By what process could you infer that he is a white nationalist without him actually saying that he is one?
I mean, like the rhetoric he uses, right?
Well, Tucker Carlson didn't come out and identify as a white nationalist,
I
so
did.
you can't say he is. Jeez, Noah, this is so bad. Please stop scripting your videos in 1 hour.
My most vocal criticism of Debate Bros came in the follow-up video to my LeftTube guide with a section on Debate Bros. Not gonna lie, I wrote that script in about an hour, so not my cleanest work.
Wow. I have never written a script
Hey,
in only an hour,
I don't
even
read
when I was new.
scripts.
Now, obviously, I don't think he only spends an hour to script every video, but he definitely doesn't spend that much time on his scripts, as I've
A
watched
lot of this doesn't seem to be centralizing around the actual video. But
to make a full video in 2 days. You can tell he's not putting much effort into things like proofreading or fact-checking.
Sykes became a member.
hey, thank you so much for the membership, brother. I didn't know that wasn't on. I'm having like troubles with my stuff being on lately. It's weird.
Potato Chip super chatted $9.99.
Thanks,
What's
brother.
up, Papa?
What up,
Keep
brother?
up the great work, brother.
Thank you, dude. I
Love ya,
appreciate that.
Papa.
Thank you.
I agree. Bees is nuts. I used to watch vids like his, but your content helped de-radicalize me a lot, brother.
Thank
Stay
you. dude.
chill, Browski.
Well, you know what? To be honest with you, it's not too super hard when this is the quality of content you're countering. I don't know.
Because his research is terrible, and because in every video he's made on me, he has weird takes that should have been weeded out as weak or bad arguments, like it's wrong to say your opinion as a...
My favorite thing about Tucker Carlson is we talk to Andrew Tate and just let Andrew Tate lie and say, it's all, I'm getting sued because, or I got arrested because I was doing TikTok? Like, okay.
content creator, or he creates standards that are impossible to uphold, like you can't make inferences based on a person or a company's behavior, even though he does it himself. Tucker Carlson wasn't the only example.
The real argument for Tucker Carlson being a white nationalist, from what I remember, is he would say things that were along the line. It's like a dog whistle. So he would say things along the lines of, you know, not wanting, you know, different people with different cultures into America, you know. And that speaks to some people that want to limit immigration in a positive way, which I think that you can only take so much in. But people argue that it's more of like a white nationalist dog whistle, and it's more about like keeping everybody out rather than just having reasonable immigration pathways. I haven't looked at it in a long time, but that's the argument. I don't think it's a bad argument, but that's the argument. So just so that you guys are clear when it comes to that.
Noah is very much one of those people who will call a person slightly right of Marx a member of the alt-right.
Probably.
Moving on to the
that's
pinned
probably
comment,
true.
because Noah further elaborates on his statements in this section. His comment says, TBYS's assertion that body positivity should exclude fat people and be reserved for those with circumstances out of their control ignores that fatness is, for many people, out of their control. Fatness.
Yeah, that's not really true, but it's kind of I mean, I don't know if it's super complicated. Listen, I think being obese is an addiction. I think there's a lot of it that's let's be real here. I mean, if you are engaging in behaviors of slowly taking your own life, which is what happened. Like, I know I'm overweight. Then that's gotta be addicted to something. It's not good for you. It's certainly bad for you. I don't think it's fully out of your control. It is the most in control, thing that you can really do, I would say, generally speaking. More control certainly than other things. But so I think that's a lazy argument to say it's out of your control. I think that speaks to your audience, but doesn't speak to other people. So I will, concede to that, of course. But it is harder than just, hey, lose the weight, right? It's a little harder. It's especially with our society. I mean, there's so many different factors. One is that most people who are fat grow up fat, and so they don't learn proper dieting and exercise, especially from their parents. We had a huge shift in the way that we operate. Like, I've always been a big kid, but I used to be a very athletic kid. And then, like, I used to go outside and do lots of stuff. And then what happened? Like, video games, and I used to stay inside, and then you gain weight, and then it kind of steamrolls, right? So there's that. They don't really teach health education or nutrition education in school. A lot of when it comes to weight, a lot of the things are sensationalized in the way to lose weight. Biggest Losers, like, oh, did you lose 10 pounds this week? Oh, wow, you're a fucking, like, you lost. Like, bad diet culture when it comes to that, bad exercise culture. There's some food deserts for some people who are poor. There's accessibility of food. Then there's just some pure laziness. There's a lot of factors. Not some of it. It's very complicated. Overall, if you're overweight, you're the only person that can change that. and being aware of these different systemic aspects shouldn't be an excuse for you to not change. But also, I think the way we talk about change isn't correct either. You don't have to make immediate change. Like, you can make slow changes. You know, if you weigh 350 pounds and you decided your first step is going to be to, you know, just start walking a half hour every day and not track your weight loss, I think that that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, you're better off doing better than perfect. I'd say that's a good idea. Like, hey, you know what? Just start tracking your weight loss. I think that's cool. Or excuse me, just start walking half an hour every day. Make solid steps. Do that for a month, then maybe implement like a small thing. You know, it's overall better off taking your time because you have to develop a habit, right? And some people will crash diet. They'll lose a bunch of weight maybe, and then they'll just kind of fall off. And, you know, you have to engage in things that are more sustainable, I would say. So that's you know, there's a lot of different aspects to it. Like, my wife and I have like started like a fitness journey for a while now. And, you know, we've been eating better. We've been implementing more vegetables and stuff into our diets. And it's been going well, and now we finally started working out. It's been about a month now. We're like the first day of the fourth week. You know, it's piece by piece, and we're trying to make them sustainable, right? So that's kind of the goal there. So there's stuff like that, you know.
This is most often closely tied to countless factors outside of personal choice, namely genetics, and also the industrial and governmental factors that have pushed people towards.
Well, there are genetic factors to being obese too. Like, there are some people who probably hold more weight, but more than anything else, I think that addiction is a genetic factor. How susceptible you are to any type of addiction is a factor. Or like, some people have addictive personalities where they drink alcohol once and they're addicted, and then other people can binge drink alcohol and then be done. Like, my wife smoked cigarettes since she was 14 years old. And then one day she just kind of eventually stopped. You know what I mean? And then there's other people who start smoking and they can never quit. You know? There is a genetic factor to that.
The consumption of processed foods for about 70 years.
You want to get shredded with
Industrial
me?
factors that have pushed people towards.
Go look into a 5x5 strong list. It's a really good start.
The consumption of processed foods.
1 to 5 to
Is
1.
that not what I said when I pointed out how many ice cream brands that Unilever owns?
Sure.
Dove is promoting an ideology that convinces people away from changing their behavior,
Sure.
which will ensure that they continue eating more Ben & Jerry's.
Okay.
Oh, look, Noah referenced a Jeff Nippard video that quotes a study. Noah references this material.
Personally, I thought they wanted us all to eat soap because it's a Dove commercial, you know?
That Jeff Nippard provides proof that obesity is genetic. Does his video actually do that? Maybe. There is one study he showed from 1990 discussing 12 pairs of identical twins being fed a surplus of 1,000 calories a day for roughly 3 months with 24-hour monitoring.
Okay.
However, I have so many questions for the study that I didn't see them account for. For example, the amount of water the subjects drank. How much fiber did they eat? How many hours per night did these people sleep? Yes, that affects weight gain. Make sure you get 7 to 8 hours per night.
No.
Also, what was the intensity level of the exercise during their allotted 30-minute walks? Walking faster will burn more calories. Last, if people were able to sneak cigarettes during the study, how do they know they couldn't just buy food from a vending machine when no one was looking? All of those things might explain the differences their subjects had in weight gain. Not that the researchers didn't do a good job. It really seems like they tried to factor in everything, but a study like this is super difficult to pull off with high accuracy because there are so many ways to cheat it. They would need to do this study multiple times to account for all the ways participants might break it. More importantly, during his video, Jeff Nippard completely contradicts Noah and says that despite any disadvantages that you may have, you can still make choices that cause weight loss.
All this doesn't mean that calories in, calories out only works for some people. It is a simple fact that obesity results from eating more calories than you burn.
Absolutely.
Tightly controlled metabolic ward experiments repeatedly confirm that caloric intake is the driver of both fat loss and fat gain.
True.
This means that anyone who is obese got obese by eating in a sustained caloric surplus over time. Clearly, if people want to lose weight, even if there are many factors working against them, such as low metabolic rate, high hunger, and so forth, it's still possible to lose weight if you sustain a caloric deficit over time.
However, Jeff also said that people being obese was not a choice as his final conclusion, which is confusing because during the video he said multiple times that you could make choices that cause weight loss regardless of genetics, but it may be more difficult for some people for reasons that he listed in the video.
I just think that, because I believe I watched that video. It was a good video. The point is that it's not as easy as flipping on a light switch. That's the whole only point. You know, I would say that it is a choice, but it's an incredibly difficult choice to lose weight for somebody who's obese. It is a lifestyle change. There are this very bad information about how to lose weight out there. Even if you look at things like MyFitnessPal, and this is an anecdote, and I saw somebody else on TikTok mention the same thing, which I thought was interesting. When you put in, hey, I want to lose a pound a week, it gives you a calorie amount that makes it so that you would lose more than a pound a week. And you might say, like, what's the relevance of that? For me, for a fat person, I feel like when you're engaging in losing weight and you go and you use a MyFitnessPal to track, if it's giving you less than you actually want to do, you're going to be more and more hungry, and that hunger will lead to a breakdown of you actually engaging in the diet. Like, that's what happens. People starve themselves and then they eat too much. And so, like, if you're like, oh, I want to lose a pound a week, and instead of 500 calories a day, they have you cut to 1,000 calories a day down. Like, instead of going down by 500 calories, they have you go down by 1,000. That's a lot. And some people will crash. You know, I'm not saying MyFitnessPal is bad. If you're going to use it, I would say just track what you're eating without necessarily trying to lose weight at first, and then kind of cut down from there is, I would say, the best idea.
But that's certainly a far stretch from what Noah was suggesting in his pinned comment, or what the fat acceptance crowd usually states, which is that weight is completely unrelated to their personal choices. Okay. I have made plenty of videos showing...
Most people don't say that. There's some crazies. This is the problem. There's some crazies who will say that, but most people don't actually say that. This is one of those problems, is you're looking for people to be saying that, so you're only finding, like, the fucking weird ones. Most fat people are just like, yo, stop bullying me. That's it. You know, you want to make a claim on the industry? Sure, maybe, but okay. It's just like it's TikTok. Any TikTok advocacy is some dumb bullshit. That's what you're referencing. Oh, I saw a woman say that it's fat phobic to lose weight. Look, all these fucking fat acceptance people. No, like, not everybody thinks that. Like, you know, and you know that, and you're being dishonest by perpetuating the idea that they actually believe that. So,
in that, and I certainly have never seen a real life example of this stock footage that Jeff used in his video of a thin person eating junk food and an obese person not being able to lose weight despite eating oranges. I have never seen that play out in real life,
sure.
And real obese people are always significantly overeating and eating junk food. Also, don't be fooled by the nuance here where Noah says...
I think the point is that, like, skinny people might eat a lot and then they won't eat for a few days because that's just how their, like, biological hunger... Part of it's probably genetic, and part of it's probably also habit building, how their hunger manifests, but okay.
Sure, personal...
How the fuck did we get this far, by the way? Like, it feels like this isn't necessarily the most relevant thing, but okay. Okay.
Choice is important for health.
Yikes.
Because in section 2, he defines
relevant,
health as different from fatness.
Kind of all over the place.
When he says that Cynthia, an obese woman with an eating disorder, can be healthy. I think a lot of...
So just to be clear, health is kind of different from being overweight. I think that the way that we should look at things is to try to get healthier instead of trying to necessarily lose weight. For one, the general advice, if you're telling people that... Okay, for one, if you focus on healthiness, then we can understand that some people who are underweight can also be unhealthy. And we can be positive to those people as well so that they feel represented, right? By saying, like, hey, let's focus on health. And number two, like, you don't have to just lose weight to get healthier. It's a good idea if you're, like, really overweight, like myself, of course. But if you focus on health, you can build different protocols. Like, let's say you start working out, or you start going for walks. You go for a half-hour walk every day. You're 300 pounds, and you know what? After a month of doing that every day, you're still 300 pounds. Do you think that that person is healthier? Probably. Probably a little healthier now. They still have a lot of room to go, right? But they're probably healthier. And then there are some people that hold a little bit of extra weight on their body, and they're not necessarily unhealthy. I think that, you know, women tend to hold a little more weight on their body in general. So that's a factor as well. Women are going to tend to be a little bit more overweight than men. And I think that there's something about the way that fat displays itself on the body. For men, it's like worse than women. So a man that's more overweight is actually, I think, worse than a woman that's overweight because it's just or less healthy. It's bizarre. But yeah, I think that's the idea. You know, maybe Noah didn't communicate that. It's still, you shouldn't be morbidly obese, of course. But if you're 30 pounds overweight, it doesn't necessarily make you unhealthy, right? So that's something to keep in mind.
At times it sounds like Noah is giving a nuanced take when he actually isn't. Okay. So in conclusion, Noah, a single study from over 30 years ago with a ton of confounding factors is not strong evidence that obese people are genetically doomed into being fat. Okay. Anyway, Noah loves research, so let's get into more research that he definitely did not read the full context of.
So is this the case? Does fat representation make people fatter? Does limiting this representation contribute to any sort of health benefit?
Yeah, I don't think that fat representation makes people fatter. I think that the things that make people fatter are everything outside of it. Fat representation is a cope. It's going too far in some ways, I'm not going to lie. But overall, like, if you think that the people feeling comfortable in with their bodies make them fatter, I don't think it is. I don't think that bullying people into thinking that they're disgusting is actually helping people lose weight, because how can you go to a gym if you're so self-conscious about how ugly you feel that you can't leave the house, which is like a real thing. You know what I mean? It's easier to learn to love your body. The narrative should be learn to love your body so that you can change it for the better. That's what I would say.
Benefits. And, well, no. No, it doesn't. There's no evidence for that whatsoever. Not that Think Before You Sleep videos require any evidence, he's just talking. But the research actually shows that the opposite is true. Quoting from a meta-analysis here on the relationship between body image and body weight control, misperception and dissatisfaction with body weight are risk factors for participating in an unhealthy lifestyle and make it harder to follow a healthier lifestyle. Body image disturbance.
If you hate yourself, you have less of incentive to want to change yourself. That makes sense to me.
It's also made it more likely to underreport calorie intake.
Okay, let's take a look. You're saying roughly that fat acceptance campaigns don't cause obesity.
They don't.
I read
no.
the whole study, and as far as I can see, it makes no claim that would allow you to call it evidence for your points. All this sentence that he highlighted here is saying is that obese people have unhealthy habits and are unhappy about the way they look. I know you can...
No, what he's saying there is that people that hate themselves don't have motivation to change themselves. You're just not getting it right. It's like weird. It's like you're trying not to think about it. That's the problem. Is this is one of the things, like that's why when you watch a Think Before You See video, it should really just be in with the understanding that like it's for funny, because he's never going to change his perception. I don't think that he's capable or cares to change his perception on any topic. He's not listening. He's just looking for why you're wrong instead of listening to what some of the points that you might be making are. I don't know why I'm here. I'm literally a fucking assassin.
Quickly look at these words and interpret them as low self-esteem from body shaming or whatever leads to an unhealthy lifestyle, but that's not what the study says.
Misinterpretation and dissatisfaction with body weight research for participating in unhealthy lifestyle. Yes, it is. What are you talking about? What do you think that bullying people is like helpful? I don't understand.
And he would know that if he actually read it. In fact, if you read more than the abstract, it gives the sentiment of what I was saying. Allow me to quote it. In general, body weight satisfaction was associated with less intention to change weight or lifestyles. On the contrary, body weight dissatisfaction was associated with higher BMI and greater intention to change lifestyle or weight and dietary restraint in women. Another important motivation for weight management were concerns for either future or present health.
That doesn't show that it has nothing to do with bullying. What are you talking about? That's the idea. Okay.
Wow, Noah, look what happens when you read more than the abstract. People who are dissatisfied with their situation are the ones who want to change their weight, not the ones who think they are fine the way they are. Style very general.
Okay. Jesus Christ. What they're saying here is that it's a risk factor for engaging in a healthy lifestyle if they hate themselves. That's why they're talking about like misperception and dissatisfaction, right? Obviously, if you're not satisfied with your weight, you're like more likely to change it. But there's a concept of, I mean, it's kind of like the bucket theory. But if you hate yourself so much, and you have such like deep mental stress or distress associated with yourself, you're not going to be able to lose weight. You're going to be so demotivated. It's going to be like too much mental stress for you to actually make reasonable change. That's the only point that's made. And that's like fundamental. Everybody needs stress in their life, but if they get too much stress, they're not going to be able to actually change. That's the only point that's being made there. But okay.
Dissatisfaction was associated with higher BMI and greater intention to change lifestyle or weight and dietary restraint in women. Another important motivation for weight management were concerns for either future or present health.
It says down here, especially, however, for women, body image remained a concern, regardless of body weight. Yeah, okay. Women are just fucking crazy, dude.
Wow, Noah, look what happens when you read more than the abstract. People who are dissatisfied with their situation are the ones who want to change their weight, not the ones who think they are fine the way they are.
That's not
the only nuance I would add is that this study suggests that a few of the dissatisfied people need proper weight loss counseling. But this is the Ludwig video all over again. Noah, this right here is...
Well, yeah, you got dumpstered on that video. That's why people think you're a joke.
Exactly why I refused to respond to your initial videos, and instead told you to watch the video I did on Ludwig, Hassan, and Vosh. There sure are a lot of parallels here, as Ludwig also failed to read an entire study that ended up saying what I said in my initial video.
Nah, you got fucking ass fucking annihilated on your... This guy's never going to take an L, bro.
To further enhance my point, here is
I wish I had his confidence, bro, because holy fuck. He's... He's so confident about being wrong.
29 that the study Noah quoted used to come to their conclusion about weight satisfaction. Here it says 93% of men and 95% of women who reported being dissatisfied with their weight also reported an intention to change their diet or physical condition.
Okay, does it talk about how long that intention lasted? Because it's not just about having an intention to change. It has to do with actually maintaining that change is one of the big issues too. Every single fat person in the entire world has tried to lose weight at some point, and they've given up because they felt like they couldn't do it for various means, whether it was people bullying them, not feeling comfortable going out into like a public space like a gym without fear of getting bullied. Yes, people still get bullied at the gym. It's probably not happening as much as people perceive, but that's like a self-confidence issue as well. Like they don't have like accurate they don't understand like how to properly diet, especially when you have like big TV shows like The Biggest Loser being the benchmark for how to lose weight, when you have Men's Magazine, when you have unrealistic body standards and people feel like they can't hit it, you know, when you have things that are like you'll lose 10 pounds in a week just by doing this, and it's just some obscene bullshit. When you're talking about how you should do cleanses to lose weight where you basically just drink fucking lemon water every day. Like there's so many different factors. Like, yeah, everybody has started to change. It's the same like conversation that as like Andrew Tate, for instance, where people are like, but he motivated me to lose weight. All these people who are saying that, they just started going to the gym and then they stop almost immediately because there's no actual long-term anything. He's not giving you a resource to stay in the gym. He's saying, go lose weight. And then he's teaching you how to disrespect and sex traffic women, right? Like it's effectively the same thing in some capacity. Holy fuck.
So this study said that almost everybody who wasn't satisfied with their weight wanted to change. Based on the data that you quoted, Noah, if you're trying to get people to lose weight, why would you encourage them to be satisfied with obesity? Why would you promote fat acceptance, which creates magazines like this saying that being obese is healthy?
Yeah, you could just argue that goes too far. Fundamentally, fat acceptance is just supposed to be about loving yourself to change yourself. That looks like it goes too far. I don't know. Maybe she might be, her health, I mean, you should go to your doctor. Your doctor will know. Maybe she is healthy at this point. I would argue that being, you know, she looks overweight enough for where health problems might start to rise in a few years. But yeah, that's just an argument that goes a little too far. That's not an argument that says that, like, you shouldn't, like, that body positivity is bad.
It's not healthy. Now, I'm not going to go on a full diatribe about why obesity is unhealthy.
I mean, she might be healthy. Their doctor might have given her, you know, a pass on her health. You know, doesn't mean she shouldn't lose weight, but I don't know her doctor.
Most people already know why it's unhealthy. And
like it's like my wife is overweight as well, right? She's like, we're both overweight. I have health problems. I have diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. She doesn't have any of those, and she's like proportionally as obese as I am, right? It's something about women, man. Something about women is crazy. It's crazy.
I already made a ton of videos about it, but you can just look at the CDC stats. Also, the first sentence, guys, the very first sentence, I mean, literally, he read none of the study because the first sentence of that study that Noah linked says that obesity is unhealthy and included a reference, reference number 1, that said health at every size education didn't really do anything to improve physical health, except for maybe a little reduction in LDL cholesterol, to which, these days, is very debatable if that metric even matters. You can listen to this doctor here for more information on that. It gets better. On top of this, the second sentence of the study quotes this meta-analysis.
We're going so deep just to understand the idea that, like, you shouldn't bully people for their weight.
Analysis here from 2017 that goes over multiple studies showing that pretty significant numbers of overweight and obese people underestimate how big they are and often say they are about the right weight, which is a problem based on resource 29 from the original study that says that people who are dissatisfied with their body image were far more likely to want to get healthy, not the ones who were fine the way they were.
No, but it's not like you're being, it's just like so like brain dead. Like, yes, I'm dissatisfied with my body weight and it's a reason I'm losing weight. But there is a degree of dissatisfaction that goes so far as to make you not want to lose weight. And then you start coping about how fat you are and you're like, I'm not that fat. That's where it really comes from. I mean, I feel like I made this point like 8 times. So
the study on underestimation of weight status theorizes that normalization of being overweight and obese is a significant contributing factor to why these people underestimate their situation. And gee, I wonder what movement out there is causing obese people to be delusional.
You're right. That's what makes people fat. That's what actually, what's funny is body positivity started before anything else. I don't know if you guys knew this. Body positivity was there before. Dude, there's no way I just tied to that. It's a fucking piece of shit. Body positivity was actually there before the first fat person, and that's why people are fat. It's not any of the other. It's body. This is probably 5% of the equation.
About their weight status.
Every fat fucking person that's coping about how fat they are and pretending that they don't hate themselves that's a cope. Like, all of them want to lose weight. They just feel like they can't because isn't proper education on the proper pathway to do so.
Honestly, though, Noah has fumbled so many times in his research that I'm starting to think that maybe I should hire Noah to Google my research for me. He's very good at scoring in his own goal. Now, going back to the meta-analysis on health at every size, by the way, meta-analysis is a research term for we reviewed a bunch of studies on a particular topic.
Yes.
But the interesting thing about it is that they primarily focus on studies with a control group. A control group is the placebo group, which means they didn't get the health at every size intervention. The experimental group is the one that gets the new intervention that's being researched.
Okay.
This methodology is used so they can test if the thing being researched is actually more effective than simply doing nothing or simply doing what people would typically do. In these cases, the placebo group got standard dietary advice, and guess what? The results for the health at every size education and the standard dietary advice were pretty much the same. Now, fat acceptance groups always like to mention that size education. In these cases, the placebo group got standard dietary advice, and guess what? The results for the health at every size education and the standard dietary advice were pretty much the same.
Wait, hold on.
It's the placebo group, which means they didn't get the health at every size. And meta-analysis is a research term for we reviewed a bunch of studies on a particular topic. But the interesting thing about it is that they primarily focus on studies with a control group. A control group is the placebo group, which means they didn't get the health at every size intervention. The experimental group is the one that gets the new intervention that's being researched. This methodology is used so they can test if the thing being researched is actually more effective than simply doing nothing or simply doing what people would typically do. In these cases, the placebo group got standard dietary advice, and guess what? The results for the health at every size education and the standard dietary advice were pretty much the same. Now,
I'm sorry. This is what I'm hearing. Hey, guys, we had a group that was told to love their body, and then we had a group that was told to love their body, we had a group that was told to love their body, and also standard dietary advice, and then we got another group that was told to just not love their body, but still get standard dietary advice, and they had the same outcome, which disproves your theory that it was bad to have the positive, health at every size narrative. Isn't that what that's what I'm hearing, right? I'm hearing both groups got basic advice, dietary advice. One of the groups got like body positivity package in there as well, and they both had the same standards, which means that if anything, body positivity is just ineffective. But you're saying it's bad. Am I misinterpreting what he's saying?
Acceptance groups always like to mention that health at every size education is good for people's self-esteem or other psychological metrics that don't prevent diabetes. However, standard dietary advice was also good at improving people's self-esteem. This situation is really funny because the whole study that Noah quoted.
Am I wrong? I'm a little confused. I feel like we're hearing that we're hearing that body positivity isn't bad. That's what I'm hearing. Am I wrong?
Contradicts his narrative right from the beginning. He obviously didn't read any of it.
Okay.
This is why you don't just read the abstracts, Noah. The abstracts are just a summary of the findings of the study as a way of filtering which studies are relevant to your research and which ones aren't. In order to determine if the study is actually valid, you need to figure out how they came to that answer by reading their methodology. Just like math class, researchers need to show their work or their answers and data don't count. That's why I poke fun at Dove for not citing their resources.
Okay.
Next, Noah throws up 2 more studies here on this topic.
Negative body image is also closely linked to multiple different health problems, including things like depression and stress. Depression and stress are linked to weight gain and obesity. Ergo, having a negative body image does not help you lose weight. Oftentimes, it's the opposite. It helps you gain weight. And
yeah, this makes sense. Absolutely. You shouldn't hate your body. You should love your body, but still be critical of it to make positive change.
It keeps you generally unhealthy.
That's what
I'm going to ignore these because the prior study he quoted said that dissatisfaction of body image motivates people to change, and these new studies...
Dissatisfaction of body image is not the same thing as fucking hating yourself for being fat. Like, I don't understand. Okay, well, it doesn't matter
don't
anymore.
prove his point of negative body image causing weight gain. They just say that people who are overweight are stressed and depressed. The most reasonable interpretation here is that people aren't gaining weight because they have a negative body image. They have a negative body image because they are overweight or obese. I mean, the first one was
yeah, that's part of it, of course. But then part of it is people just are relentlessly bullying the shit out of them. And they feel hopeless when the resources of trying to lose weight because the resources are shit. Right, so there's a lot of different aspects here, but okay.
Just a questionnaire, so right off the bat, correlation does not equal causation.
Okay.
Congratulations, you found out that overweight people don't like being overweight.
Wow.
Or you simply found out that an overweight person can also be depressed. Also, this one here, he straight up ripped from the Jeff Nippert video, so there's no way...
I mean, also, eating poorly would make you depressed, too, because it just has a negative impact on your body. So
he read that whole study and checked it for validity. Jeff even states that the risk factor for weight gain is small, and looking at the information here on screen, it says that most of the studies found no relationship between stress and weight gain.
There's no way.
And look, but on...
It says no stress, and what is that? It doesn't say weight gain. It said the majority of analysis found no significant relation between stress and what is this word? ADIPOSITY. What is this? Oh, this refers to body fat and is referring to fat. Okay. Why didn't they just say weight? What's the difference between... Wait, so this isn't... Wait, this... I'm not super educated on this word. So it doesn't say the majority of analysis found no significant relationship between stress and weight gain. They use stress and then this other word, which I can't even fucking pronounce.
Adiposity.
Adiposity. They're not the same thing versus obesity. What's the difference between these two? What does adiposity mean? Obesity can be defined as a level of body weight and adiposity that is sufficiently excessive to damage health. It's having too much fatty tissue in the body. Okay, why did they use that word? I'm also like a little confused about what their word usage and why they're using these types of words. I guess it's just to be confusing. I don't know. I guess I don't know why. I feel like there's constant links. Let's see. Psychological stress has been strong and applied in the biology of adiposity, but analogical studies have produced inconsistent results. And this analysis was to bring together results from published longitudinal. He's reading the abstract. Isn't this what he said that you shouldn't read? Okay, whatever. Stress and body weight. Oh, this is from 2012. What the fuck? Why are we referencing this from 2012? Okay, let's continue.
Honestly, I don't think that Jeff read the study either, considering that his commentary comes right from the abstract. I'm actually...
We conclude that psychological... That's not even... It doesn't even say psychological. Bro, we're using words that I've never heard. Psychosocial. Oh, psychosocial stress is a risk factor for weight gain, but effects are very small. Okay, sure. Are they talking about, like, physical stress increasing weight? Or are they talking about... Jesus, I have to look at fucking define 8 new words. Examples of psychosocial stress can include anything that transforms to a perceived threat to our social status, social esteem, respect, and/or acceptance within a group, threat to our self-worth. So they're specifically saying that psychosocial stress, doesn't have a huge link to weight gain. What other kinds of stress are there? I feel like, why be so specific? It's interesting.
Marcus Murphy became a member.
Thank you so much for the membership, brother. I appreciate that.
A little disappointed.
5 months
That
up.
being said, let's finish off with one more study that Noah didn't read.
On top of this, in the same way that...
This is bizarre. Why are they being so specific about stress? Maybe, okay.
Negative body image is bad for your health. Positive body image is actually good for it. There's a study here, positive body image is positively associated with emotional and psychological and social well-being in British adults. Body appreciation significantly predicted all dimensions of well-being. Think Before You Sleep hates it when people are fat. He wants them to stop being fat. So he should actually love this Dove ad campaign. The campaign is promoting positive self-image, and positive self-image promotes health in a myriad of ways, which does include people maintaining healthier habits when it comes to eating. That's what he wants, right?
All right, so right away, this study he shows here has nothing to do with positive body image leading to weight reduction or better physical health. Diabetes, joint issues, and heart disease don't care about how good you feel about yourself.
What?
Better physical health. Diabetes, joint issues, and heart disease don't care about how good you feel about yourself.
Well, okay. I feel like I should put my head in a fucking washing machine. The point is that if you feel better about yourself, you're more likely to change. Also, being stressed is not good for you. It reduces the amount of sleep that you get. Okay.
So I did what I absolutely guarantee you that Noah didn't do, which was pay $50 for the study. By the way, these studies aren't all free, and not only did I have to spend hours fact-checking Noah, but I also had to pay money to do it.
Okay.
Here are some of the questions that they used to determine well-being in the study. And nowhere in this study does it claim that higher body image scores led to healthier eating like Noah claimed.
I don't think that was his claim. Am I wrong? His claim wasn't that it led to healthier eating. The claim was that it led to people losing weight. Obviously, I mean, you don't necessarily have to eat healthy to lose weight. It's why there's skinny people who fucking smoke cigarettes and eat candy all day and they still gain weight because they just don't eat a lot.
Now, Noah might be basing that claim on the earlier study that said that higher body satisfaction was associated with healthier eating habits, but that's only because the people who had healthier eating habits were already thin. I mean, holy crap, for how much this guy said, source, bro?
Okay.
Only because the people who had healthier eating habits were already thin. I mean, holy crap, for how much this guy said, source, bro, or you provided no evidence, in his reactions to my videos, he has no idea how to read research. I don't know if you went to school, but just like Hassan, if you paid for college, Noah, you should sue them for your money back because they failed you. Stop quoting PubMed articles because anyone who knows how to read research can see that you have no idea what you're doing. You're better off just giving your opinion on things. And despite that you're into lifting, which is good, exercise is a good thing, I will compliment him for that, but despite that, you clearly don't have expertise or training in health sciences, so you really should be keeping your mouth shut on the topic. You're outside of your scope of knowledge here, which means that even if you did know how to read research properly...
It's really not that deep, bro. It's just about, like, not hating yourself. It makes it easier to lose weight.
Really, you would not be qualified to accurately interpret studies on health. Reading research requires background knowledge on the subject, or you will be incapable of criticizing it competently, or you'll improperly utilize the information. Personally, I would be embarrassed if I suggested to my audience that I'm a good researcher, and I got caught only reading the abstract of multiple studies with a field that I have very little background knowledge in. I would also feel guilty for doing lazy research that could very well lead my audience into believing wrong ideas because I wanted to get a video out in 2 days. No wonder this guy has bad takes like this drawing here is just as good as this drawing. This modern art drawing is the visual representation of Noah's skill at research. And by that, I mean that anyone with no talent or skill development can read the summary of an article on PubMed and say they did research. All right, let's move away from all the studies and get to Noah's final act.
The final point I want to talk about today concerns the idea of sexualization. Think Before You Sleep doesn't like it when characters in games are wrongfully labeled as sexualized.
But she said 2 female characters from a game that they never identified were over-sexualized. Whatever that means, because they'll call Laura Croft hyper-sexualized.
Oh, I remember this point. Actually, this point stuck out in my head. This girl was just talking about how she wanted to have a third option for a person that wasn't, like, a woman that wasn't super sexualized. And I believe that Think Before You Sleep misquoted it and made it seem like she was just complaining that sexualization exists in the first place when she really was just like, hey, I would like to have an option of a non-sexualized character. Wasn't really that deep.
For just standing there and doing nothing sexual.
So he doesn't think that Lara here is being sexualized. Okay, so first...
I'm sexualizing her.
Does he think that a character needs to be butt naked and doing the splits in order to be sexualized? There are other factors that go into this definition beyond what a character is doing. In the
Yeah, I mean, Lara Croft is a girl in a game made for boys, so she has a nice ass and big tits. Like, yeah, she's sexualized. So it's like the point would be to like have a girl that maybe wouldn't necessarily be sexualized for women to play. The problem is that if you made a fat character, I'm still going to sexualize her because I like fat women. So
the case here, Laura is wearing short shorts.
I'm happy that Laura is sexual. Like, I mean, like, it's not a bad thing. I don't care. It's not a bad thing to have Lara sexualized. It's not that big of a deal. Just have characters that aren't necessarily sexualized. You know, more female representation. That's the point. You don't even have to do it in this video. This video game is fine. Like, don't change that. But for some other games is the point. And that's what Dove is doing. They're not saying get rid of these games. They're saying we'll make our own. That's the best part about it. They're not complaining about other games. They're just saying we're going to make our own. That's why it's fine, you know?
And a tight crop top, revealing her legs and midriff.
Pancake flat midriff.
Laura is a character who shoots people and runs through the woods and shit. This outfit is clearly impractical for that purpose,
That's true.
But she's wearing it because she is being sexualized.
True.
He doesn't fully...
It's a meme. It's like a meme. I see the one on the Reddit still fucked the shit out of that. But it's a meme, dude, that like girls in like MMOs, their armor is like nothing compared to the guys. So...
clarify why he claims this outfit is impractical, but it sounds like he's saying
it's impractical. You're gonna run around shooting somebody? You wouldn't wear fucking short shorts when you're going around shooting people and you expect to get shot at. You'd wear like fucking Kevlar. I feel like that one's a no-brainer, no?
practical for physical activity. That's not true.
What? What are you talking about?
How are short shorts and a crop top impeding her mobility?
Bro, she's shooting at people and getting shot at. That's not practical. What are you talking about? This is not good for physical activity. She's getting shot at, bro. If I was getting shot at, I wouldn't want to be in a pair of fucking short shorts. What are you talking about? There's no way. You can't even concede a single point. Okay.
On that note, speaking of realism, a big reason why obese people aren't in these kinds of games is because they can't actually do the physical activity that the characters are doing.
Okay, that's fine. They're just saying have some games with fat girls. Thor was fat as fucking God of War, and he was able to do some wild shit. Okay, that's the only point that's being made. Like, have some girls that more represent. It's not even that deep. It's really not that deep. She's like, hey, let's have a little more for some other people. It's not that fucking deep, bro. Really not.
No one who is 400 pounds is doing the kind of marathon running that video game characters do to get from place to place, nor can obese people jump around like an acrobat to slay demons. Outside of Olympic lifting, there's a reason why you don't really see obese people in the Olympics. As for the part about sexualization, is she wearing that outfit because she's being sexualized, or is she wearing that because the outfit is fashionable for her body type? Allow me to clarify this because...
Well, something being fashionable for your body type can still be sexualized. I don't know what you're talking about, okay? Again, she's going and getting shot at, and she's not wearing Kevlar. I feel like that's a pretty good proof that maybe she is being sexualized, and I'm fine with it. Again, it's not a bad thing.
Noah's line
it's
of
not
thinking
a bad
is something
thing
that many people use to attack women for how they were born.
What are you talking
about? Two different
about?
women can wear the same outfit, and whether you're a slut or not is determined by your body type, not by the clothes you're wearing.
Okay.
These are similar tops, except one girl has curves and one doesn't. Can you tell me which girl is going to get called a slut?
Neither should get called a slut, but one of them is definitely sexier. I don't know, she's got her fucking cleavage out. You don't have to call girls sluts just because they're dressed in a more sexualized capacity. It's not even necessarily a bad thing that somebody would be dressed more sexualized. What's the point are you trying to make here? I'm a little confused.
I mean, this girl literally wears lingerie tops that basically have the same coverage as this outfit here.
Okay.
And as far as I can see, everyone is calling her an innocent angel purely because her body proportions are petite and not curvy. Let's continue.
The main thing with this example, though, is that Laura's body has proportions that are unrealistic in comparison with the vast majority of people. These proportions are considered sexually attractive and are thus created by the developers with the intent of appealing to the male gamer gaze. Those are the arguments in favor of the idea that this character is being sexualized.
Wait, did he censor thin Laura but kept fat Laura fully in view? Do you not understand that you're body-shaming curvy women?
Did he do that, or did the article do that? If he did that, that's weird. I don't know why he would do that, but okay.
This is a body type that real women have. Noah, even you're doing it. I initially thought this was a mistake and he just forgot to censor it because everything else was censored, but this specific image was referred to multiple times and only thin Laura was censored. Unless he doesn't watch his videos for mistakes before uploading, this was done on purpose.
Did he censor it? Or did the article itself censor it? I'm confused.
Do you not see why I say that body positivity in the cultural zeitgeist is solely about obesity? Noah spent the whole video saying it was wrong for me to criticize obesity because it's air quote body shaming obese people and that will make those people depressed.
You can criticize obesity. You should criticize obesity. It's to the degree that you're doing it. If you're saying, hey, I don't think that people should be fat, I agree. When you're saying that like women want to have some more realistic representation in video games and that like there's positive mental health outcomes which will turn into positive physical health outcomes if you just don't, shame people and make them feel included, you having a problem with that, it just seems weird. It just seems like you're obsessed with being anti-SJW, right? Get out of here, spiders.
But then he straight up body shames thin, curvy women.
I guess.
Okay,
not
but
really,
surely Noah has some good shots at me, right?
Okay, so now let's roll the next clip of this guy.
Oh, so you're not even going to respond to the thing that he said that big tits are sexy. It makes sense for him to just roll past points so you can't say no to
this guy's saying.
But I get it. Video games...
Wait, he censored it? Why would he there's no way oh, you know what? Maybe he censored it. And this is generous. I don't even know if this is true. But maybe he censored it because he didn't want it to get like DMC, not DMC. He didn't want it to get like struck for nudity. I don't know. Maybe. It's possible. Even if you don't need to do that, maybe he felt that way. I don't know. That seems a little preposterous, but I'll give him something. You know what I mean? It's possible. Or he's just fucking weird. But
women way too much. Let's see how Dove intends to remedy this problem. Well, that's one way to start. We have a woman here who was fully covered up, who then changed into something that was more revealing. She basically is in the same outfit that Laura Croft was in.
So he takes Dove to task here for sexualizing this character, Cynthia, because she's showing...
I mean, bro, I'm going to be honest with you. I love a good pair of armpits. The issue isn't sexualization, though. I just feel like sexualize some fucking BBWs, dude. Give me some representation. I do like a good fucking armpit, though, dude. I don't know, bro. I do like a good armpit, man. I'm just saying. I don't know. I got a dog inside of me, bro. It's barking right now. You know what I mean? I wonder if some of the people who complain about sexualization are just using that like incorrectly when it's more just like more body representation. Because I feel like a BBW character, a woman wouldn't have an issue with her being a little bit sexualized. Although, I think it's just two different things: having more body representation versus sexualization. Because like fat women can be sexy. And so some women might just want like a non-sexualized character that's not dressed provocatively and has like more normal proportions. Some girls might want a sexualized BBW character to feel, there's a bunch of shit.
more skin
I got a
immediately
dog in
after
me.
crying about
I
how
feel like it
this
doesn't have to
isn't
be that deep.
sexualized. Do you notice anything here about anything related to skin? She's showing it, a bunch of it. That doesn't make any sense.
Show more.
It does, though, when you realize that his definition is entirely dependent on whether or not it helps.
Why
you.
chill that my wife is in the chat? My wife is a fucking BBW woman, and I like her armpits. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I mean, dude? I like them. I lick them. I mean, I like them. I didn't even say that, to be honest with you. That was a demon. There was a demon in me. I'm not saying anything. It's the it's the fucking demons in me, dude. It's crazy how this happens. It's fucking bananas, dog. It's fucking banana. I'm getting like shit on every game now. It's bananas, dude.
His argument.
Wow.
Well, that's a projection. Hey, guy who's trying to strawman me. I was using their definition of sexualization because they complain that Lara is sexualized, yet Dove put their character in effectively the same clothes. I wasn't being...
She's also was made like back in like the 1990s or whatever, where the idea of sexualization was a little bit different. Right nowadays, you know, we've become much more normalized with sexualization, and we're a little desensitized. So like that wouldn't by today's standards necessarily hit the bar of sexualization. It hits the bar of like probably like a generally unrealistic body type and unrealistic, you know, outfit for getting shot at and going into a fucking war zone. Oh shit on my balls. Oh, but not necessarily sexualization. Ooh, that guy's gonna fart in my penis. Jesus.
morally inconsistent. If Lara's t-shirt and shorts is what sexualizes her, then it's the same for Cynthia.
Okay, the last part with this is real weird, so go ahead and strap in. It concerns the framing of one of the shots from the animation, and Think Before You Sleep has certain feelings about this shot.
Nice dumpy.
So now we have a bent over ass shot that is center of the frame that adds nothing to the story. They went full on anime camera angles, and somehow they're going to claim that it's not an attempt at sexualizing the character.
Buddy, you're
Maybe
real
it
worked
is,
up.
dude.
You gotta relax. When Think Before You Sleep,
I think it's mostly just supposed to communicate that she's sad. I don't think it's supposed to be like sexualized. She said, "Why is she so sexy? I love it when women cry." It's like, okay. I guess that's his argument. I don't know.
sees this shot here, to him, it's the same as this shot here. When he looks at this shot, all he sees is this. He's so worked up about seeing...
I mean, the anime shot is, first of all, it's a child. Okay, it's disgusting. Second of all, what's going on with you guys, Japan? What the hell does the matter with you? What are you doing as a child? Third of all, they're wearing a skirt, and the idea is that you can almost see up it, right? And usually vaginas are considered sexy. Because you get to see it. That's it's pretty high standards for men, huh? So yeah.
A woman from behind that his brain fails to render the rest of the frame.
Actually, I didn't even notice this when I first watched the ad. I only noticed it because I was watching a woman review it, and she pointed out that Cynthia's outfit was sexualized.
So here she is, in less clothes, wearing less clothing, mind you, more revealing outfit. See, that's enough.
It's not less clothing than the other Lara Croft. You know, I wish it was less. You know what I'm saying?
Other part that really says to me that they don't care about sexualization. This isn't a modesty thing. She's wearing basically the exact same outfit that Lara Croft is criticized for wearing. It's definitely inspired by Lara Croft's outfit. So Lara...
Did that original video criticize Lara Croft's outfit, though? I feel like it didn't necessarily. I think it was just talking about how we should have more representation. Am I fucking dumb? Maybe I have a fucking doo-doo brain or something. Because I feel like I'm a little confused. But I'm just an old guy, so maybe I'm just fucking confused or something.
Croft can't wear this without being called a slut, but she...
Who the fuck's calling Lara Croft a slut? I'm so confused, bro. I just feel... am I just wrong? Because I feel like some of these arguments are made up.
Can wear it, and it's, you know, female empowerment.
Me watching this clip then led to me noticing where they needlessly put the camera, and that led to my extended commentary on what Melanie Mack said. But that's not the only time that Noah tries to frame me as some sort of...
So are you saying that you just watch other people's content and take their perspectives? Is that why it takes you weeks to... Wait, is that why it takes you long to come out with arguments? Because you watch what other people in your sphere are saying, so make sure that you don't say anything that disaligns with them? That's embarrassing. There's nothing wrong with being careful. But it sounds like you're just like, yeah, I waited to watch 5 other videos on the same topic so that I could just take their talking points. That's why it takes me so long to make videos. Like, oh, okay. Based, I guess? I guess he's honest, at least.
A weirdo as a way of strawmanning me. Here he is doing it again with Chun-Li.
One last example that I thought was kind of funny was him saying that because the reason he plays games is to escape reality, characters in games shouldn't be ugly because he doesn't want to insert himself into an ugly character.
Not to mention that video games are primarily about escapism, and if I'm playing a character, I want to play someone who is more...
Chun-Li's got fucking thick thighs, boy. Woo! My dog's going. Oh, you're kidding me, bro. You're not supposed to kill me.
More attractive than me, so I can self-insert and escape from my less glamorous life.
Okay.
So he doesn't want to fantasize about being ugly. He wants to instead.
Well, different people have different perspectives, and maybe women just want to feel represented by a character that's more aligns with what they look like, and maybe men want to have characters that are cooler than they look like, you know. Or I mean, like me personally, I like playing fat characters. I mean, I think I'm fat. It makes me feel nice. It's not really that deep. You know, but just it's cool. You know, just make like an more attractive version of a fat person. I'm not trying to roll around as like a fucking garbage bag. So
size about being the juicy.
Woo! Sorry. Damn.
Thighs, muscle mommy Chun-Li.
So, hey, why don't you show the rest of that frame while you're making that point? Because the reason I showed this image of Chun-Li was to show that women were unhappy and did not want to play overweight characters. I mean, for how many times he accused me of strawmanning.
I'm confused. What were you saying? So, as a female gamer myself, it seems you want us to play as unattractive, dumpy-looking female characters. I don't think so. Oh, yeah, so one woman thought Chun-Li was unattractive? I don't even know what to say about... I don't even know what your point is, to be absolutely honest with you. Chun-Li's fucking banging. I'm literally diamond hard right now. I'm just kidding, I'm not... I don't know. Okay, cool. I don't know.
Show that women were unhappy and did not want to play overweight characters. I mean, for how many times he accused me of...
Some women, sure. I mean, the women aren't a monolith. But okay. Whoa, dude, stop farting in my fucking my applesauce here.
Strawmanning or vilifying in his prior reactions. It's insane that he has the audacity to say this.
And two, that he doesn't actually care about fat people.
Yes, the guy who...
Yeah, you probably don't really care about fat people. It's a common thing for people that hate fat people to talk about how they're just trying to give better advice for fat people to get them to lose weight. But mostly it's just about thinking they're disgusting. And I'm going to be real with you. I get it. I watched my 600-pound life to make myself feel better. I go, wow, gross. And I get it. And if you look at me and you think I'm gross, that's perfectly fine. I think that makes sense to me. But I don't need you to tell me. That's body positivity. That's fat acceptance. Think I'm disgusting, but don't treat me as such. That's it. You know what I'm saying, dude? You don't really actually care about having a positive impact, right? It's more about just kind of like, it's virtue bullying. It's the same thing that progressives on Twitter do when they found out some white guy said the N-word 10 years ago. They don't care. They don't give a shit about black people. Black people don't care that a white guy said they know every white guy said the N-word 10 years ago. Like, they're not concerned. But, you know, Twitter is virtue bullying, pretending that they care. It's the same thing. It's just conservative virtue bullying. That's all it comes down to. It's the same obnoxious shit, just on a different side.
Tells you the uncomfortable truth is the one who doesn't care about you, and Lucifer from Paradise Lost, who lies to you to make you feel good, is the hero.
Paradise Lost? What the fuck?
If you actually watch my content, then you'll know I care a lot about helping these people, which is why I don't gaslight them by telling them that they are healthy at 350 pounds, like Cosmo does.
I'm healthy.
Moving on.
When Think Before You Sleep sees this shot here, to him, it's the same as this shot here. Now, do we notice anything different about these two shots? Well, the anime shot is just one thing. It's someone's butt, it's a low angle of a skirt, and it's a...
It's the skirt. It's suggestive. It makes you want to go... Like, that's one of the things where sometimes wearing clothes is almost sexier than being naked, because there's something to, like, be imagined. There's a thought there, you know? It's like, oh, man, what's under that? And when you got that skirt, it makes you think like, oh, what's under that skirt? It's a skirt. Like, what if I just lifted it up a little bit? You know? Whereas the fat girl doesn't really have that going on. I mean, like, you could argue like, well, you could think about her pulling her pants down, but guys just don't think about it like that, right? Does that make sense? But when you see a skirt, it's different. Also, let's keep in mind, that's weird that Japan stop doing shots like this on children. It's fucking weird. Okay, you fucking creeps. Bizarre shit.
You know, very sexualized. That's all that's in the frame. But the shot of Cynthia has other information in it. Namely, it shows her standing between two posters of herself.
Also, it's the pretext to this scene was that like she's sad and she's just kind of in a defeated position, whereas maybe I doubt the other girl probably just fell and was like, oh, Oni-chan. What else do they say? Senpai. Oh, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. That wasn't racist, right? I don't even know.
In the armor.
Sorry.
Now, this is up for interpretation, of course, but my reading of it is that she's constrained and sandwiched in the frame between these posters, just like the armor constrains and sandwiches her body. And so when she leaves, she's breaking away from it or something.
Got it. Somebody go tell the video game companies that all they have to do to not be accused of sexualizing a female character is to simply put other material into the frame.
Okay.
Wow. Just wow. That is really someone who is doing everything he can to be right.
This guy's a little bit of a silly goose, man.
So basically then, Cynthia could be naked.
Yeah, staring into the thing is more introspective. Yeah, that's true. Jesus Christ. I Jesus Christ. I had to come down and I had to fucking, that's terrible. Oh my God. I had to ban someone. How do you even buy? Why would you even make an account just so that you could figure out a colorful way to say the N-word? That's crazy. I mean, I'm almost impressed. Oh my God. That was horrible. Jesus Christ. Okay. Wow. Incredible. Okay.
Of the wildly popular comments.
What is this? Get out of here.
And it wouldn't be sexualization based on what he said, because the point of the shot was to add emphasis to the photos that are off to the sides. Jeez.
That's not what he was saying. He's saying that there was more than just her ass there. So, again, she's really not going to be sexualized. Part of it, too, is Lara Croft was made longer ago. So part of it is Lara Croft was made longer ago when a more... but nowadays, that's considered a conservative outfit. But like back then, it was considered more sexualized. She has like unrealistic proportions. Well, I guess for like the majority of women, which I'm fine with. She's literally getting shot at, but she just wears like a fucking like short shorts and a shirt. Versus the other girl, she took off her overlying outfit to be in a more comfortable outfit, and she's bending over because she's defeated and frustrated. And then she chooses the sword later that looks like a lollipop because that's funny that she did that because you know she's fat. So.
Are you really going to tell me that this outfit on Lara Croft is an impractical sexualization of the character? Male gaze?
It's happening
but
again.
Cynthia here, who is effectively in the same outfit, is not a sexualization of the character?
The main thing with this example, though, is that Laura's body has proportions that are unrealistic in comparison with the vast majority of people. These proportions are considered sexually attractive and are thus created by the developers with the intent of appealing to the male gamer gaze.
Oh, I see. So you're saying that it's only sexualization if the character is attractive. Weird take. I'm pretty sure if I was obese, I would be offended by that.
I think they mean like realistic, but okay.
And it would not give me very good self-esteem.
Please, I beg of you, go take a media literacy course. God, my God.
First of all, with how bad your research skills are and how smug you were about those research skills, you have no business recommending that anyone take a class. Second, if an average viewer has to take a media literacy class to understand...
Guys, we're being attacked. Think before you sleep of setting people to say the N-word in my chat. He's attacking me right now. It's terrible. He's attacking me.
Understand how this image is less sexual than this image, then does something wrong because this ad campaign is for average people, not for media literacy experts. But just to clear things up and make sure that we still have all the important visual information in the shot, I fixed the image for you. I swear, if this ad contained Lara Croft with her ass out, he would be complaining about it being hypersexualized, much like he will cape for Dove or Ashtar Carr when they don't properly cite their resources, but will say, source bro, any chance he can get with me. If you want an example of heavy bias, that's heavy bias.
Okay.
There's so much evidence that Noah doesn't see stuff like this because he lives in an echo chamber and doesn't actually listen to the opinions of people on the opposing team with an open mind. For example, in his pinned comment, he references this video here where he talks about an anti-woke comedian making some jokes that he thought were bad. Side note for positivity, I will compliment Noah a second time by saying that his comedic timing is good. It's hard to see that with this video all cut up, but it was refreshing because usually the people I cover have the creative talent of Lily Singh. But I digress. Noah did a fat acceptance video reacting to Isaac Butterfield, and towards the end of his reaction, he offers his audience a nuanced approach to the subject.
It's not like there aren't legitimate criticisms to be made about any of these movements, like fat positivity and body acceptance. People have and continue to make valid criticisms from both outside and within. So take this video, for example, from the YouTuber Kayla Claus, who criticizes members of the fat acceptance community for saying that calling yourself midsize is fatphobic. Kayla makes the point that doing this erases an entire category that people might actually prefer to identify with, and that this preference doesn't necessarily have to be rooted in fat phobia. One really clear and thorough examination of this topic is a video...
Yeah, I mean, this is true, but the problem is that like you're not the kind of person that's trying to be nuanced, right? You're the kind of person that's just trying to hate on fat people. I think that's the point.
From Mr. Beard called Both Sides of the Fat Phobia Debate Need to Stop, which gives a really nuanced look at the ongoing debate in this space and how a lot of times it's much more nuanced than the most amplified voices make it seem. While he does clearly draw a line that he stands against all fat phobia and that fat phobia is far more common and harmful than the occasional overzealous fat activism, he does have criticisms for fat activists, the most prominent example being criticism of the claim that the act of losing weight is inherently fat phobic. This is another example of aspects of these movements that might
it is actually
be causing harm to people that they're supposed to be liberating by shaming them for their personal decisions about their own bodies.
Allow me to add nuance on this subject from a bunch of people who are on my own ideological team. Now, personally, I do agree with the nuanced opinion that he showed about weight loss, but do you mean to tell me that you watch opposing viewpoints so little that you couldn't find a single good take from an opponent? You had to find it from a friend? And it's not just me bringing attention to Noah's echo chamber behavior. Several months ago, he had some drama with patient Xena on the topic of representation in reference to the Little Mermaid movie.
Yeah, I remember I watched that. It was like a whole deep dive. Maybe I'll put it in the description too.
Honestly, after watching her original video, I could not fathom how Noah could disagree with this because patient Xena had the most middle-of-the-road take on the Little Mermaid that I watched. She believes that black people should have more representation so that they can have more characters of their own race to look up to. Personally, I don't think the race of the hero matters. A good hero is a good hero, but her take is certainly something that the left can agree with. However, on the other side of that, she said that black people should get their own stories instead of race-swapped hand-me-down characters, which is something the right can agree with. Well, Noah got triggered over this take, patient Xena responded, and towards the end of her video, she shed a little light on why he would have an issue with her very middle-of-the-road opinion.
And now we get into the nooks and crannies of the real issue that Noah has with my video. He doesn't give a crap about how black people feel about black representation. His issue with me and my channel is that some of my views
I don't think that's necessarily true, but
do align with conservative views. And because I am very moderate in my views and very moderate in a lot of my stances, my channel has attracted a combination audience. Some of my viewers are conservative, some of my viewers are left-wing. I think his biggest concern is that the left-wing part of my audience are going to suddenly be exposed to the most dangerous thing of all, which is a different perspective. God forbid people on the left explore some of the viewpoints that exist on the right, because that is scary. Because as much as Noah ironically challenges me on my points about echo chambers, I actually genuinely don't believe in echo chambers. Noah quite clearly does believe in echo chambers because he's essentially at this point fear-mongering to his audience about the dangers of them potentially being taken on the path of discovering alternative perspectives and alternative views.
I think that's a fair interpretation because Noah starts his video with, "Oh my god, look how big her audience is." He can gaslight and say that he was only doing this as a way of justifying his reaction to her as not punching.
From what I remember, I think that his point was more that it was that most of the content she makes seems to be appealing to conservatives, right? Like most of the perspectives she has are more. It's not even that her perspectives are conservative leaning. Like the topics she chooses tends to be more conservative leaning. I think that was more of her perspective than anything. I could be wrong. I actually like her as a content creator. But I think that was his general argument there.
Down because patient Xena recently had a much smaller channel, but Noah does the whole "look how many followers this person has, they have so much influence" bit a number of times, and he's done it to me multiple times by posting my subscriber count in the thumbnail of every video he's made on me. Mixed in with "oh my god, Think Before You Sleep has so many followers, guys," right? During his reactions.
Think Before You Sleep is not just a viewer of the ad, he is a YouTube journalist, let's call him, with a big audience that's making a video that critiques this ad.
And breadtubers in general love to mention how much influence their opponents have as some sort of weird gotcha. And the point of them saying that is so that they can then say this.
My fear here is that videos like this open up the possibility, not just ideologically, but algorithmically, that people may be swayed into far-right thinking by starting with this seemingly innocuous interpretation of an anti-black controversy.
I feel like that's just so stupid to me. What he's saying is that any conservative-leaning perspective to me, and maybe it's out of context, but that's what it sounds like he's saying here, any conservative-leaning perspective is a pathway to the alt-right pipeline, and we cannot engage with any of it. And it's like, I think patient Xena's perspective was like, hey, why do they keep making ginger characters black, making new characters? You know? Whether you agree or disagree, it's not like you're not going to start fucking hating Jewish people because of that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, 'cause that's what the implication is. I think disproportionately criticizing people and saying that they're part of the alt-right pipeline because they're a little bit more conservative leaning, that's probably a pretty big part of the alt-right pipeline, is that kind of shit, you know? So
upon hearing this take from a creator who is co-opting the aesthetics of nuance without actually functionally providing that nuance, viewers may be pushed into anti-woke and eventually far-right echo chambers without realizing it until it's too late. If your content leans anti-woke, it's only a matter of time before YouTube plugs you in with some of the channels that we looked at today.
It's funny how though
I guess I wouldn't really consider patient Xena's content anti-woke. This guy's content is. But not hers. I wouldn't say that. I remember that. I think that was like the general criticism I had of him.
I'll say that they aren't in an echo chamber when they are constantly trying to convince people that watching your first Jordan Peterson video means you're only about a week away from joining the alt-right.
I am.
Statements like that are called fear-mongering. That's someone who doesn't want you to look at opposing viewpoints. Woke lefties throw out all kinds of buzzwords to try to convince their audience away from listening to dissenting opinions. And they'll say those buzzwords about anyone who is slightly right of Karl Marx. I mean, patient Xena pointed out that Noah called ABBA and Preach far-right. It was in that last clip.
Did he really? That's fucking silly. They're definitely a little conservative on their LGBTQ take. Specifically, ABBA. Preach is actually pretty. I mean, I'm more agreeable with Preach. ABBA's a little, you know, I think scared in some capacity of gay people. I mean, when you're saying that like destroying the flag or stomping on a flag isn't inherently disrespectful. I think that maybe you got a little bit of a bias somewhere, you know. But I still like them as content creators. Whoa, dude, stop.
Clip, you can go back and watch it. But Abba and Preach, have you watched their content? They aren't on the right.
Is systemic racism really gone? That's a question I pose to you.
Well, of course not.
I doubt Noah is even aware of the anti-woke left that started with people like Chris Reagan. So which side do you think is more afraid of opposing views? Anyone who actually listens to opposing viewpoints with an open mind can tell that Noah doesn't do that because he makes so many one-sided mistakes, like not thinking.
There's plenty of people on the left and the right. Well, there's some people on the left and the right that are open to opposing viewpoints. Considering you're not listening to any of the actual points being made, like, I can't really say that you care. So
that his opponent would actually read the full studies he's referencing, because if he thought that, he would never have used the studies that he put on screen. Also, if he actually read the studies that were behind a paywall, then he would have put some of the full article on screen as proof that he read more than the abstract. Or maybe he's too used to reacting to people who are equally bad at research. So everyone watching, please.
Who's that?
Or maybe he's too used
to
reacting to people who are
fresh and fed. Jesus Christ, I'm on a tear today, dude. Holy fuck. No bueno on that one.
Bad at research. So everyone watching, please do not live in an echo chamber, or you will do really dumb stuff like this. If you're on the right,
well, you are in an echo chamber. Like, I don't think Patient Xena is at all, but you absolutely are in an echo chamber. I don't really know what you're talking about. But okay.
I want you to go down that radical leftist pipeline by starting with a Destiny video, and then you can hit something more left like Vosh, and finish up with the extreme left by reading a Robin DiAngelo book. If you're on the left, watch a Jordan Peterson video and keep going down that alt-right pipeline until you get to laugh at some of the asinine stuff that Nick Fuentes says. Doing that will make you stronger. You'll see how ridiculous the opinions are on the extremes, and when you get back to some of the more reasonable
What the hell are you talking about right now?
content towards the middle, you'll find opponents who won't let you get away with.
The problem is people go down like any hyper left or right, pipeline, and they get annoying. The right is worse though, because that's where you could become into like anti-Semitism. Like, of course, like just so you know, like going down like an alt-right pipeline. First of all, I think you can engage with conservative ideas. You should be able to engage with them. I think a big problem is that people can't. That's why things like the Jewish question are so popular. People don't know how to answer against those because they don't engage with it. And you should engage with it and know have a good argument against somebody when they say some dumb shit. Right? That's part of the pipeline. The alt-right pipeline, though, is that like conservatives or some conservatives that are like really big pieces of shit will have a really strong-looking argument against a particular or for a particular idea that is shit. But people, since they don't engage in these ideas, they don't know how to counter them. Right? That's a big problem.
With stupid ideas. Last, when you're watching this stuff, you cannot watch it as if you're only watching it to crap on every point the person makes. You need to watch this stuff and interpret their ideas as if you were the person trying to explain.
That's what you're doing, though.
No, because if you're just sitting there taking the worst
Hey, what's up, man? Just found you on TikTok. Never followed Sylvester. Like, hey, that's awesome. I really appreciate that.
Interpretations of everything they say, then you aren't helping yourself. You'll learn nothing by doing that.
I guess my shit posting on TikTok's been working.
Because your closed-mindedness will prevent their ideas from causing you to critically think about your own ideas, which is the whole point of engaging with opposition. We all have ideas that are wrong, and the only way to find the right ones is to listen to people who will challenge what we believe. Okay. Anyway, thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called now, and I'll see you in the next video.
Okay. That video is just insufferable, bro. Here's the TLDR. If you're overweight to an unhealthy amount, because I don't think 30 pounds is a big deal, but if you're like overweight, if you're like obese, it's good to lose weight. Start by focusing on better protocols overall. Make better choices, not perfect choices. You know what I mean? Start walking a half an hour every day. Start having a handful of greens with every meal. Start looking at, I personally like weight training, but if you don't like that, figure out what you would like to do with some of your fitness stuff and slowly just change your habits and lose weight. But don't hate yourself. You know, you're still a valid person. You're not any less of a person if you're bad. In fact, you're more of a person. Because that mental health struggle is not going to put you in a place where you'll want to change.